Hi guys, welcome to our video. So guys, do you know that flexible exchange rate and fixed exchange rate has a great impact for country economic, and how is the implication? Okay, before that, let's introduce ourselves. So, introducing ourselves. My name is Safirana Suratul Nur Ummah as representative of Group 10, and my friends are Zain Fuadi Muhammad Rozikifat and Salsabila Dwi Roshidah. We are going to talk about flexible and fixed exchange rate. So, enjoy the video. Flexible exchange rate is a currency exchange rate system in which currency exchange rates are allowed to be determined by market force based on demand and supply in the foreign exchange market. In this system, currency exchange rate can fluctuate freely and are not regulated by monetary authorities or government. In condition of floating exchange rate, a country's monetary and fiscal policies are not direct at keeping the currency exchange rate at a certain level, and typically used to achieve certain economic and policy goals. As a result, exchange rate can change over time according to market factors. The next is flexible exchange rate goals. The first is automatic adjustment. In a floating exchange rate system, currency exchange rate can adjust automatically to change in a country's economic strength. This allows for faster adjustment to economic imbalance and provides greater flexibility. And the second is monetary flexibility. Countries that use a floating exchange rate system have a more independent monetary policy. They can adjust interest rates and other monetary policies without having to worry about exchange rate stability. And the third is economic crisis prevention. This system can help prevent economic crisis by giving countries the flexibility to adjust their exchange rate in the face of economic stress or financial crisis. The next is flexible exchange rate disadvantage. The first is exchange rate volatility. One of the major drawbacks of floating rate system in the volatility of current exchange rate. Rate can fluctuate significantly in a short period of time, which can create uncertainty for companies and investors involved in international trade. The second is market speculation. The floating rate system can provide an opportunity for speculators to take advantage of rapid exchange rate fluctuations. This can increase market instability and lead to exchange rate movements that do not always reflect the actual economic condition. And the third is economic and financial crisis. Under certain conditions, a floating exchange rate system can cause an economic and financial crisis. A sharp drop in the exchange rate or speculative pressure can have a negative impact of a country's economy. The fourth is trade balance instability. A floating exchange rate system can cause instability in a country's trade balance, as a fluctuating exchange rate can affect export and import price. This can create challenge for trade planning and policy. And the next is flexible exchange rate systems are not limited to specific countries. The first is advanced industrialized countries. Many advanced industrial countries tend to use floating exchange rate system because they are more in line with the level of flexibility and complexity of their economies. For example, the United States, Canada, and most European countries. The second is countries with mature financial markets. Countries with mature financial markets and high liquidity are more likely to use floating exchange rate system as they can facilitate easier capital movement. And the third is countries with high economic openness. Countries with high economic openness, which are heavily involved in international trade, can benefit from the exchange rate flexibility offered by the floating exchange rate system. And the fourth is countries that do prefer independent monetary policy. Countries that want a more independent monetary policy, where the central bank has the freedom to set interest rates and manage monetary policy without paying too much consideration to exchange rate stability, tend to choose floating exchange rate system. Okay, after the flexible exchange rate not limited to specific countries, the next is in a flexible exchange rate system, devaluation and revaluation. Devaluation occurs when a country's government or monetary authority internationally lowers the exchange rate of a national currency against a foreign currency. And the revaluation is the opposite of devaluation. It occurs when the government or monetary authority increase the exchange rate of the national currency against foreign currency. And revaluation can be done to control inflation or increase the purchasing power of national currency in international markets. And then there are fixed exchange rate is a currency exchange rate system in which a country's government or monetary authorities pegs the exchange rate of a national currency to a foreign currency and commits to maintaining that exchange rate by means of active interference in the foreign exchange market. After that, there is fixed rate system. The first is pegging exchange rate. The government sets the exchange rate of the national currency against a particular currency or group of currency. And the second is active intervention. To maintain a set exchange rate, the government or the central bank engage in active intervention in the foreign exchange market. The third is exchange rate stability. Fixed exchange rate aims to provide stability and certainty to currency exchange rate. This can provide advantage for international trade and investment as the parties involved can plan their transactions with more certainty. The fourth is limitation of independent monetary policy. However, fixed exchange rate also have limitation, especially in terms of monetary policy independence. The government should prioritize exchange rate defense against monetary policy that may be needed to address domestic economic problems such as inflation or regressions. The next is fixed exchange rate curtain economic and policy goals. The first is economic stability. A fixed exchange rate system can help create economic stability by providing certainty on current exchange rate. And the second is facilitation of international trade. Fixed exchange rate can increase certainty in international trade with a stable exchange rate. Business people can better plan their transactions. The third is protection against foreign exchange speculation. Fixed exchange rate system can provide protection against large exchange rate fluctuation and foreign exchange speculation that may occur in floating exchange rate system. The fourth is monetary policy limitation. In some cases, countries may choose a fixed rate because they want to reduce monetary policy limitation. With exchange rate already set, central banks' option for setting interest rates and managing monetary policy may be more limited. And however, fixed exchange rate also have disadvantages that need to be considered. And the disadvantage is the first, inability to adjust automatically. In a fixed exchange rate system, exchange rate cannot adjust automatically to change economic condition. This can create economic imbalance that require manual intervention by government or central bank. The second is intervention that require foreign exchange reverse. To maintain exchange rate, the government or central bank must intervene in the foreign exchange market. And third is protection against foreign exchange speculation. The fixed exchange rate system limits the flexibility of monetary policy. Central banks may have to focus more on maintaining exchange rate rather than addressing internal issues such as inflation or regression, which can make it difficult to manage the economy effectively. The fourth is Mandel-Fleming theory. The Mandel-Fleming theory states that countries can simultaneously have fixed interest rates, fixed exchange rates, and free mobility of capital. In a fixed exchange rate system, a country may have to choose between maintaining a fixed exchange rate or managing domestic monetary policy and interest rates. So the next is potential currency crisis. Although the fixed exchange rate system is designed to prevent large exchange rate fluctuations, there is still the potential for a currency crisis if the economic experience a significant imbalance or if speculators question the sustainability of the system. And the sixth is financial crisis and economic stress. The fixed exchange rate system can put great pressure on the economy in the event of a financial crisis or significant economic stress. Government and central banks may. The next is fixed exchange rate certain characteristic or needs. The first is economic stability come first. Countries that place economic stability as a top priority may choose a fixed exchange rate system with a fixed exchange rate. They can achieve certainty and stability, which are important factors for sustainable economic growth. The second is dependence on international trade. Countries that are highly dependent on international trade and want to provide certainty to business, people, and their trading partners may choose a fixed exchange rate. The third is desire to prevent foreign exchange speculation. A country that wants to protect its currency from large fluctuations and speculation in the foreign exchange market may prefer a fixed rate system. The fourth is pegging against major currencies. Some countries choose to peg their exchange rates to major world currencies, such as the US dollar or euro. This can provide an advantage in facilitating trade and investment with those countries. The fifth is desire to limit inflation. A fixed exchange rate system can help control inflation by preventing currency depreciation and importing inflation through a fixed exchange rate. The sixth is desire to build credibility. Countries that want to establish credibility in the international market may choose a fixed exchange rate system to show their seriousness towards sustainable economic and financial policy. The seventh is countries implementing a currency union. Countries involved in a currency union or a regional currency bond may adopt a fixed exchange rate system to maintain stability within the group. Okay, the next is fixed exchange rate export and import. The first is fixed exchange rate considerations. A fixed exchange rate can affect the competitiveness of export and imports. If the exchange rate is too high or too low, it can affect the price of export and import goods denominated in foreign currency. The second is stable export benefit. A fixed exchange rate can provide stability benefits for business involved in exporting. They can better plan their transaction because the exchange rate is a relative fix. The third is inflation and deflation challenge. A fixed exchange rate can be a challenge if the economy experiences inflationary or deflationary pressure. This system can limit the ability of exchange rate adjustment in response to changing economic conditions. The fourth is role of government or central bank intervention. The government or central bank must intervene actively in the foreign exchange market to maintain a set exchange rate. It involves buying or selling a national currency to keep the exchange rate aligned with the target. there is a study case. The ringgit exchange rate experienced a period of sustained depreciation against the US dollar last year, Bank Negara Malaysia said. Okay, thank you for the attention and thank you for the watch our video and see you next time. Goodbye. Thank you for our group 10.